It's an old story, and you've probably heard it. The manager was hiring somebody for an important position. He had weeded it down to three. There was a teacher, and there was a mathematician, and there was an accountant. They had gone through the interview process, and the manager decided to throw a ringer. And so he said, I have one more question. What is 2 plus 2? And the teacher said, of course, it's 4. And the mathematician said, well, it's not that simple. There are a lot of factors that you have to apply, a lot of places you have to go, a lot of measurements that you have to make. It's just not that simple. And the accountant was asked, what is 2 plus 2? And he went over and pulled down the shades and whispered in the manager's ear, what do you want it to be? That's kind of funny, but it's less and less funny the more I think about it. Because it's kind of the central focus of our culture and the source of the darkness that we are experiencing in our time. In the 17th chapter of the book of Judges, there's a weird story about a guy by the name of Micah who stole some money from his mother, some silver, and gave it back and created idols, and then appointed his son to be the high priest of the idol he had just created. And then a priest comes from Jerusalem, and the writer of Judges has a statement that haunts me. He said, in those days, there was no king in Israel, and every man did what was right in his own sight. In other words, there was no authority, there was no power, there was no way to measure. And so every man and every woman did what he or she thought was right. Doesn't matter what you believe, as long as you believe something and you're sincere about it. And I know and I'm happy that it's true for you. What that means is that there is no truth. I was interviewed last week on a talk show and was asked a question I'm often asked. You travel a lot and you're in a lot of different places. What do you consider the biggest crisis or problem facing the church and facing our culture? I started to do my shtick. I started to say, well, bad theology, selling our soul, money, materialism, blah, blah, blah. But I thought about it. And I said something that was true. And I think it was from him because I've thought about it since then. The greatest crisis in our culture is that agenda is more important than truth. We do that too. If you're a Calvinist, you got a battle to fight with those cretins who are not Calvinists. If you're a dispensationalist or you're a Pentecostal, you kind of look down your nose at those who simply don't get it. It's a political crisis. It's a sociological crisis. It's a philosophical crisis. There is no king in Israel. Everybody does what is right in their own sight. You know that I like House. And I particularly like him because he says everybody lies. And I've decided that he's pretty right about that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that goes before that. The place where truth is whatever you decide it will be, and where the agenda is more important than the truth, because the truth doesn't matter.